This is the insider trading saga for the NBA. And the fraud is mind-boggling.
It's been absolute mayhem since the FBI dropped the bombshell about the NBA's gambling scandal. And get this, there are whispers of mafia ties involved.
Bringing 4 of the 5 families together in a single indictment is extraordinarily rare.
The whole sports world went into meltdown, and NBA legends are not holding back their reactions.
These dudes are stupid.
And I'm just ashamed.
Under no circumstances can you fix basketball game.
When the news hit on October 23rd, 2025, chaos erupted from every corner of the basketball universe. Fans, analysts, and players flooded social media with disbelief, anger, and heartbreak. Some couldn't believe their heroes could fall this far, while others saw it as proof that fame and money can twist anyone's judgment. The most explosive reactions came straight from the TNT inside the NBA crews, and trust me, they didn't sugarcoat a thing. The Hall of Fame trio, Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and Kenny Smith, went off live on air, and every word hit like a slap to the face of the league itself. Shaq spoke first, and you could feel the pain in his voice.
I know everybody that's at play, and I don't like to sit up here and be hypocritical about certain things. I homeboy gamble, Ernie. Bet it. We've been on teams. We played cards. We played spades. We played talk.
He sounded genuinely betrayed, like someone had broken the sacred trust of the game.
Every year they would give us forums on what and what not to do. One of those things where if somebody asks you if a certain player is playing, you say no. So all these guys knew what was at stake. And I'm just ashamed that they put themselves and put their family and put the NBA in this position.
His message was sharp. This wasn't some misunderstanding or a minor slip-up. Every single player, coach, and staff member gets crystal clear briefings on gambling rules every season. There's no gray area, no confusion. They all know exactly what's off limits. Then Shaq dropped the hammer, asking the question that left the whole studio silent.
So if you're making $9 million and you're dealing in certain things, like how much more do you need?
He continued.
Especially if you know you get caught, you can do jail time, lose your career. Put a bad image on yourself or your family on the NBA. I agree with you, Chuck. They dropped the ball.
How could people who've been given so much risk it all for so little? But Kenny Smith wasn't ready to just label them villains. He fired back with a totally different view, one that instantly sparked a heated back and forth.
I think the other part is we have to realize gambling is an addiction. So the addiction of it is what makes you make illogical decisions. So not because you make $9 million.
Kenny argued that gambling addiction doesn't care about logic or wealth. He said judging someone with a compulsion through a rational lens misses the entire point. That addiction destroys logic, no matter how much money or fame you've got.
There are people who are making, as the FBI director says, there's a man who lost $1.8 million. That means he has a lot of money, so he has an addiction to that. Those fish that they talk about that they were bringing in. So gambling is an addiction which can make you make illogical decisions regardless of your ethnic background, regardless of your physical background, and regardless of your financial status.
You could see his empathy, but also the tension it created. Then came Charles Barkley, and you already know he didn't hold back for a second. He shut that sympathy talk down instantly.
The reason I'm mad at Kenny is, man, this ain't got nothing to do with damn gambling addiction. This ain't got nothing to do with addiction. These dudes are stupid. Why are they stupid? Under no circumstances can you fix basketball games. Under no circumstance.
Barkley's take was raw and brutal. He said this had nothing to do with addiction and everything to do with stupidity and greed. He couldn't believe anyone making millions would risk their legacy and career for what he called pocket change. To him, the whole thing was just plain dumb, no excuses.
Come on, man, stop that. Ain't got nothing to do with addiction. That's just total stupidity on these two dudes' part.
The moment became bigger than TV. It was the raw heart of the conversation happening everywhere. Are these players victims of addiction? Or were they greedy rule breakers who sold out the sport for fast cash? One thing's for sure. This scandal isn't just shaking careers, it's shaking the very soul of basketball. Outside the TNT chaos, the rest of the basketball world is trying to keep things calm, but the tension is sky high. Coaches, players, and insiders are all weighing in carefully, but the shock runs deep. Indiana Pacers coach Rick Carlisle, who also heads the National Basketball Coaches Association, didn't sugarcoat it one bit. He called it A shocking day and a very serious situation. The twist? These arrests came literally one day after the league had just wrapped up its annual mandatory gambling briefings. The timing couldn't have been worse. Carlisle even tried to reach out to Chauncey Billups, but got nothing back. Total silence. That alone says plenty. Then came Los Angeles Lakers head coach J.J. Redick, who's fresh off retirement and still deeply connected with the player mindset. He admitted the scandal was front and center in everyone's mind. Teams across the league held emergency meetings, rehashing the anti-gambling rules that suddenly felt way too real. You could feel the nervous energy, like everyone was wondering who might be next. But the real whispers came from behind the scenes. Anonymous insiders who painted a darker picture. One front office said the league went from preseason excitement to straight-up fear overnight, with people asking who else is involved. Another player agent said he wasn't shocked they got caught, only shocked it took this long. He claimed gambling temptations are everywhere in today's NBA, from players to staff to the business side, and that this scandal just ripped the curtain off something the league already knew was brewing. The National Basketball Players Association, NBPA, tried to stay diplomatic, but their statement spoke volumes. They said the integrity of the game remains our top priority, while also insisting that players deserve due process and that popularity should not be weaponized for attention. It was a tightrope walk, defending the players' rights without seeming to excuse the mess. Meanwhile, social media went into total meltdown. On Twitter, fans lost their minds over the whispers of mafia links. Viral posts blasted the NBA for promoting betting apps while being tangled in a gambling scandal, calling it a straight-up hypocrisy. Many fans demanded stricter rules, especially around prop bets where people gamble on player stats and in-game moments. Over on Reddit, things got even wilder. In our NBA, one post with thousands of upvotes asked if this was a systemic crisis or just a few bad apples. And in our Bill Simmons, someone joked about shutting the whole league down, but behind the humor was genuine fear. Can fans still trust what they're watching? Are the games even real anymore? Then the politicians jumped in, and that's when things got even more serious. Senator Richard Blumenthal called for national guardrails to stop similar corruption across all sports. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, a loyal Knicks fan, called it a stunning development that shocks the conscience. And Representative Paul Tonko didn't mince words. He said this was the inevitable result of an unchecked sports betting boom. Even the big betting companies scrambled for cover. DraftKings and FanDuel released statements calling the accusations deeply disturbing and promising new integrity efforts. But critics weren't buying it. They pointed out that these companies have made billions from the same betting craze that might have fueled this entire scandal. So what's next for the NBA? And for pro sports as a whole? One thing's certain, this changes everything. Commissioner Adam Silver has already started pushing for federal regulations on sports betting, especially new limits on those high-risk prop bets. The league might be cleaning house, but after this, the trust between fans and the NBA may never look the same again. This scandal has turned up the heat like never before, and the noise for major reform is about to hit maximum volume. Expect tighter rules, tougher punishments, and non-stop surveillance from here on out. The NBA has no choice but to clean house. First off, enforcement and monitoring are about to get way more intense. The league already tightened up injury reporting rules and even fined teams for slacking. But this mess exposed major cracks in the system. The biggest embarrassment? The fact that Eric "Spook" Ernest was cleared by the NBA itself, only for the FBI to swoop in 18 months later and arrest him. That blunder alone made the league look clueless. And now everyone's questioning how deep the problem really goes. Then there's the trust issue, and that might be the NBA's biggest nightmare. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. If you can bet on these games, why would you believe they're real? Brutal, but true. Because once fans start doubting whether a game's outcome is legit or rigged, the entire foundation of professional sports starts to crumble. Sure, the NBA survived the 2007 Tim Donaghy scandal when a referee was caught feeding gambling info, but this is way bigger and way darker. This time it's not just one rogue ref, it's multiple players, coaches, and insiders allegedly working together in a long-running, coordinated scam. The question haunting everyone is simple. How did this happen under the NBA's nose? Let's break it down, because what the FBI uncovered wasn't just a few reckless bets or insider tips. This was a multi-year criminal operation that ran deep, stretching from December 2022 to March 2024 for the betting side, and all the way back to 2019 for the rigged poker ring. The feds called it Operation Nothing But Bet, and honestly, the name fits. The whole scheme was built on insider access. People connected to NBA teams, staffers, trainers, assistants, and even friends of players were secretly feeding non-public info to professional gamblers. Things like who was sitting out, who had a quiet injury, or who might be benched early. Now, here's where it gets wild. Those gamblers would rush to place prop bets, wagers on a player's performance like points, rebounds, or assists before that inside info hit the public. If they knew a player was limping or about to rest, they'd bet the under, knowing the guy wouldn't hit his normal stats. And when it played out exactly as planned, jackpot. This wasn't gambling anymore. This was straight up insider trading, but for sports. Even FBI Director Patel called it that word for word.
And look, let's not, mince words. This is the insider trading saga for the NBA. That's what this is.
The official indictment laid out at least 7 NBA games where this inside info was weaponized for profit. The list included major matchups, Lakers versus, Bucks, Hornets versus, Pelicans, and even an April 6, 2023 Magic versus Cavaliers game where leaked info about bench starters led to an $11,000 bet on Cleveland. The Cavs ended up crushing the Magic 118-94, easy money for the Fixers. The network behind it was like something out of a crime thriller. The key players, Eric Spook Ernest, Marcus Mars Fairley, Vincent Vino Locks Hanley, and Shane Sugar Hennon, all named in the FBI's indictment. These guys allegedly funneled insider tips into massive betting pools, then laundered the cash through payment apps, bank wires, and even straight-up hand-to-hand cash drops. But here's the twist that makes this whole scandal truly dangerous. They focused almost entirely on prop bets, not game outcomes. Why? Because those bets are small, frequent, and easy to hide. They've exploded in popularity since sports betting went fully legal across the U.S. You can bet on anything. How many rebounds a player grabs, how many threes they hit, even how long they'll stay in the game. And when you have that kind of data being leaked from the inside, it's not even gambling anymore. It's a system designed to print money in secret. Americans wagered over $100 billion on sports in just the first 8 months of 2025, and a massive chunk of that came from prop bets. That's why this scandal cuts so deep. It's not just about a few bad actors. It's about an entire system that made it too easy for corruption to hide in plain sight. The league's reputation, the players' integrity, and the fans' faith are all hanging by a thread. And right now, that thread is looking ready to snap. And here's where things go from scandalous to straight-up Hollywood movie material. This whole story isn't just about bad bets. It's about power, corruption, and pure greed. Critics had been warning this was coming for years, and now those warnings look prophetic. Back in 2024, former Senator Bill Bradley, who also used to play in the NBA, sounded the alarm, saying that the league's cozy embrace of betting companies would inevitably lead to corruption. And now, look where we are. The NBA's partnered with DraftKings, FanDuel, and more, and you can't even watch a game anymore without being hit with a dozen betting ads. Every commercial break feels like a casino floor. Commissioner Adam Silver has always defended this move, claiming legalized sports betting actually helps catch fraud since it allows for close monitoring of suspicious betting patterns. And to be fair, that's exactly how Porter's crew got busted. Sportsbooks started flagging strange bets that didn't add up, and that digital paper trail led the FBI straight to the operation. But just when everyone thought they'd heard it all, boom, here comes the twist that turned this from a sports scandal into a full-blown crime thriller. Enter Operation Royal Flush, the code name for a rigged underground poker network that sounds like something ripped straight out of a mafia movie. Federal prosecutors revealed that these secret poker games ran in Manhattan, the Hamptons, Las Vegas, and Miami, pulling in the ultra-rich who thought they were rubbing shoulders with ex-athletes and celebrities. There were 31 defendants charged in this part alone. The victims were lured by the promise of exclusive high-stakes games featuring stars like Chauncey Billups and John Jones, adding a sheen of legitimacy. But the dark truth? Everyone else at the table, from the dealers to the random players, were in on the con.
Which is a poker chip tray that secretly reads cards using a hidden camera, special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards, and an X-ray table that could read cards face down on the table.
And the technology? You won't believe it. It was next-level cheating, almost sci-fi. Federal court documents detailed a setup that sounds straight out of Ocean's 11. They used altered shuffling machines that could secretly read every single card in the deck as it was mixed, sending the data to an off-site operator who calculated which player would win. Then there were poker chip tray analyzers, trays with tiny hidden cameras scanning cards while players thought they were safe. It doesn't stop there. They used contact lenses and eyeglasses fitted with tech that could read special invisible ink markings on cards, letting players literally see what no one else could. And if that wasn't wild enough, the tables themselves were X-ray equipped. Yep, X-ray poker tables that could read cards face down through the surface. Prosecutors even showed photos of these tables at the press conference. Pure insanity. So how did this crazy operation actually work? The off-site operator, who was watching every move, sent real-time info via cell phone to someone at the table, nicknamed the quarterback. The quarterback would then signal the other conspirators through tiny gestures, a tap here, a card shift there, telling them exactly when to bet or fold. Together, they cleaned out unsuspecting victims with surgical precision. One high roller reportedly lost $1.8 million in a single night. The total confirmed losses, over $7 million, and prosecutors say that number's still rising. And when someone couldn't or wouldn't pay up, that's when things got ugly, because that's when the mafia stepped in.
And when people refused to pay, these defendants did what organized crime has always done. They used threats, they used intimidation, and they used violence.
The Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families weren't just brushing shoulders with the operation, they were running it. These were the same New York families that have controlled underground gambling for decades, and when the rigged poker games came along, they jumped right in.
Bringing 4 of the 5 families together in a single indictment is extraordinarily rare. It reflects how deep and how far this investigation reached and the skill and the persistence it took to get here.
They supplied the muscle, took a cut of the winnings, and handled debt collection the old-fashioned way through threats, intimidation, and violence. Prosecutors confirmed that some defendants committed acts of extortion and even carried out a gunpoint robbery to recover one of the rigged shuffling machines. The mafia wasn't just lurking in the background, they were essential to keeping this entire machine running. Out of the 34 total defendants linked to the poker ring, 13 were tied directly to organized crime. The names read like something out of a mob archive. Ernest Aiello, alleged acting Bonanno Street boss, Louis Flapper Poker Apicella and Amar Ade, both Gambino associates, and Matthew Dino the wrestler Geneve, connected to the Genovese family. These weren't amateurs. They were professionals in manipulation and intimidation. And of course, all that dirty money had to go somewhere, so they laundered it through every trick in the book. Shell companies, crypto transfers, and good old cash handoffs in parking lots and nightclubs. This wasn't just a scandal, it was a criminal empire hidden inside the NBA's orbit. With every new detail the FBI drops, the line between sports, celebrity, and organized crime gets blurrier and a lot more dangerous. This whole operation was so massive, so high-tech, and so sneaky that it took a full 4 years. And the combined muscle of the FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, the NYPD, and even the Waterfront Commission to finally crack it open, 4 years just to infiltrate and shut it down. That's how deep the corruption went. Now here's the burning question everyone's been asking. How did NBA figures get tangled up with the mafia in the first place? Well, it's not as far-fetched as it sounds. These secret poker games went down in the same elite hotspots where rich and famous folks naturally hang. Manhattan, the Hamptons, Miami, and Las Vegas. These are playgrounds for celebrities, athletes, and business moguls, so crossing paths with shady characters is practically unavoidable. And when someone whispers about a private high-stakes poker night with former NBA stars at the table, that kind of invitation is like gold to the ultra-rich. But here's what makes this whole thing especially messy. Not everyone sitting at those tables might have known they were walking into a setup. One gambling expert explained that pros and athletes are constantly worried about being cheated in underground games, which is why many stick to regulated casinos or closed circles. It's possible some players were lured in as victims first, only to get trapped, compromised, and then pulled into the scam. Still, federal prosecutors are making it clear. They believe Chauncey Billups and John Jones weren't victims at all. According to the indictment, both men allegedly knew exactly what they were part of and played active roles in the fraud. They're now facing charges of wire fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, and illegal gambling, with each wire fraud count alone carrying up to 20 years in prison. The NBA wasted no time reacting. Commissioner Adam Silver immediately placed Billups and Rosier on administrative leave. saying the league was taking the allegations with the utmost seriousness and that the integrity of our game remains our top priority. Silver also confirmed that the NBA had been cooperating with federal agents from day one, but the situation has sparked a new wave of uncomfortable questions about how much the league really missed. After all, the NBA itself investigated Rozier back in 2023 and cleared him, only for the FBI to later uncover this massive conspiracy. That mistake is haunting the league. An unnamed executive even admitted to reporters, people are going to lose faith in the NBA's ability to investigate its own, and that fear is spreading fast. Prosecutors have been very clear. What we're seeing now is just the tip of the iceberg. The FBI is still unraveling new layers every week. But here's what's already on the record. This wasn't just one coordinated crime. It was two intertwined federal operations that exposed how deep this web really went.
The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling.
The first was the insider betting ring, where confidential NBA info was sold to gamblers for massive prop bet payoffs. The second was the rigged poker network, powered by high-end tech and enforced by four of New York's most notorious mafia families, the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crews. Yeah, you read that right. The mafia, in 2025, tied to NBA insiders. It's the kind of crossover no one thought they'd ever see outside a movie script. At a press conference in New York, FBI Director Kash Patel laid out the full picture, describing it as a coordinated takedown across 11 states, targeting crimes ranging from wire fraud and money laundering to extortion and even armed robbery. This wasn't some small-time hustle. It was an empire built on manipulation, greed, and control. Federal prosecutors estimate that the rigged poker games alone scammed victims out of at least $7 million, while the betting conspiracy may have involved hundreds of millions in dirty wagers floating through underground markets and online platforms.
And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
But hold up. Before we go deeper into the fallout, let's talk about the superstars. Because when a scandal this big explodes, that's what everyone wants to know. Which A-listers are caught in the blast? And here's where things take a shocking turn. Among the names swirling through the investigation, one stood out like a lightning bolt: LeBron James. His name appeared not because of direct involvement, but because of someone very close to him, his old friend and former teammate Damon Jones. Jones, who once shared the court with LeBron in Cleveland and later hung around as an unofficial assistant coach for the Lakers, allegedly crossed a serious line. According to investigators, Jones betrayed LeBron's trust in one of the most devastating ways imaginable, pulling him into the edge of a scandal that could stain his image forever. The deeper the FBI digs, the clearer it becomes. This wasn't just about gambling. It was about influence, secrets, and betrayal inside the very heart of the NBA's inner circle. According to the federal indictments, Damon Jones wasn't just hanging around trouble, he was neck deep in it. Prosecutors say Jones sold non-public information about LeBron James's health to underground gamblers, a betrayal that hit close to home for one of the NBA's biggest icons. Here's where it all started. On February 9th, 2023, just days after LeBron shattered the NBA's all-time scoring record, the Lakers were set to face the Milwaukee Bucks. That same day, Jones allegedly texted his co-conspirators saying that Player 3, identified as LeBron James, would sit out due to ankle soreness, info that was not yet public. The NBA's official injury report hadn't been updated, but Jones already knew and shared it. Armed with that inside tip, gamblers rushed to bet on the Bucks before the news broke. And sure enough, the Bucks won 115-106, turning that inside info into instant cash. But the betrayal didn't stop there. In January 2024, Jones allegedly leaked more inside info, this time about another Lakers player whose minutes would be cut short because of injury. A high roller placed a $100,000 bet on the Lakers to lose based on that tip. Ironically, the Lakers won that game, so the bet tanked, but the intent was crystal clear. Use private medical info to manipulate bets for profit. Now here's what matters most. LeBron James had absolutely no idea any of this was happening. According to prosecutors, he's being treated as a victim, not a suspect. The feds believe he was betrayed by someone he trusted, a friend who sold out his confidence for a quick payday. So who are the real villains in this twisted saga? That brings us to the three names shaking the entire sports world: Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, and Damon Jones. Let's start with Chauncey Billups, the former Finals MVP turned head coach, whose reputation just imploded overnight. The indictment claims Billups not only played in rigged underground poker games, but also used his fame to reel in wealthy victims, known in gambling slang as fish. He wasn't just another player at the table. Prosecutors say he was a face card, the kind of celebrity presence that made everything seem legit. We're talking millionaires and executives sitting across from an NBA legend, thinking they'd scored an invite to an exclusive game, not realizing they were being systematically robbed. And just like in a spy movie, the poker setups were loaded with wild tech: X-ray tables that could literally read cards through the surface, chip trays with hidden cameras, rigged shufflers that predicted winning hands, and contact lenses that could see invisible markings on cards. Every hand was predetermined before the chips even hit the table. But the trouble for Billups doesn't stop at poker. Prosecutors believe there's more. A mysterious unnamed co-conspirator matching his description allegedly leaked insider info about a March 24th, 2023 matchup between the Trail Blazers and the Chicago Bulls. He reportedly told gamblers that Portland would rest several starters, giving them a clear heads up to bet on the Bulls. Over $100,000 was wagered against Portland, and they got crushed 124-96. The NBA wasted no time. Billups was immediately placed on administrative leave, with Tiago Splitter stepping in as interim head coach. He appeared in Portland federal court, surrendered his passport, and was released under strict no gambling conditions, pending arraignment on November 24th in Brooklyn. Next up, Terry Rozier, the explosive guard now playing for the Miami Heat, but who at the time was with the Charlotte Hornets. His case hits right at the heart of competitive integrity. According to the indictment on March 23, 2023, during a Hornets versus Pelicans game, Rozier texted his childhood friend Deniro Laster, telling him he'd fake an injury and exit early. That inside tip led Laster and others to place over $250,000 in under bets on Rozier's game stats, basically betting that he'd underperform. And guess what? It worked. Rozier played just 9 minutes, scored 5 points, grabbed 4 rebounds, and dished 2 assists before checking out injured. The bets cashed out for tens of thousands in profit, which prosecutors say was split with Rozier himself. The NBA moved fast. Rozier was placed on immediate leave, and when federal agents arrested him in Orlando, the charges were massive: wire fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. Prosecutors even asked for $10 million bond, but Rozier secured release by putting up his $6 million Miami home as collateral. His lawyer, Jim Trusty, came out swinging, calling the accusations spectacularly incredible and insisting that Rozier never faked any injuries. But right now, the evidence is stacking up, and the league's silence speaks volumes. And that brings us back to Damon Jones, the man whose actions shook not only the Lakers, but the image of LeBron James himself. His betrayal turned what could have been a quiet investigation into a headline-grabbing earthquake that's still rippling through the entire NBA. With these arrests, one thing is clear: this scandal isn't just about illegal bets. It's about loyalty, greed, and how the love of easy money can destroy the bonds that built the game. The man sitting at the center of this chaos, Damon Jones, is the ultimate link between the two worlds colliding in this scandal. According to prosecutors, he appears in both federal indictments, charged in the insider betting scheme and the rigged poker operation. It's wild. The same guy accused of leaking LeBron's injury info was also allegedly helping run underground poker games stacked against unsuspecting millionaires. Beyond the LeBron and Anthony Davis leaks, investigators say Jones acted as a face card in those high-end poker nights, right alongside Chauncey Billups. His presence gave those events legitimacy, the kind of name that made rich folks drop their guard and sit down to play, never realizing that every card dealt was already part of a setup. They thought they were living the dream, playing cards with NBA legends, but they were just walking into a con where the house always won. Now, some analysts and a few sportsbook executives are trying to calm the storm, saying this is all just an isolated incident. They argue that the vast majority of players and coaches would never touch this kind of stuff, and that these few bad apples represent a microscopic fraction of the thousands of people involved in pro basketball. They're even pointing out that legalized gambling actually helped expose this mess, that the betting monitors, algorithms, and tracking systems did their job by flagging unusual activity. But critics aren't buying it. they're saying the real problem runs way deeper, that these cozy partnerships between the NBA and gambling companies like DraftKings and FanDuel have blurred the lines between business and corruption. The league is making billions off gambling while pretending it can fully control the chaos that comes with it. One journalist even put it bluntly, you can't dance with the devil and then act shocked when you smell smoke. And let's be real, the stakes for everyone involved are sky high. Each defendant faces decades behind bars if convicted. Just wire fraud conspiracy alone can carry up to 20 years, and money laundering can tack on another 20. Add in potential racketeering charges for those with mafia ties, and you're talking about sentences that could end entire lives and careers. The investigation isn't over, not even close. FBI officials have confirmed that there are still unnamed co-conspirators in both indictments, and insiders say more arrests could be coming. Some of those mystery names might even turn out to be other NBA figures who've been quietly cooperating or hiding in plain sight. As the pressure builds, prosecutors are already dangling plea deals. And once someone flips, we might see even bigger names dragged into this firestorm. Right now, one thing is certain. The FBI has blown the lid off a massive multi-year criminal network that connected NBA insiders, high-tech gambling fraud, and organized crime families. This isn't just about one or two reckless players. It's a warning shot at an entire industry that rushed headfirst into the gambling gold rush without truly understanding the danger. The NBA is facing its toughest test yet, and the world is watching. Can the league restore trust after this? Can Commissioner Adam Silver actually enforce reforms that work? Can the NBA keep cashing those billion-dollar betting checks while still claiming to protect the integrity of the game? Only time will tell, but this scandal has already rewritten history. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below about what you think the NBA should do next. And don't forget, click on one of the videos showing on your screen to keep diving into more of these shocking sports exposés. See you on the next one.